All right, so we have quite a lot of in-depth questions asked. So I guess we'll just start off right on the spot, which is now. First off,
Yeah,
thanks everyone for being here. Thank you, LB, for being here.
of course. Thank
And
you for hosting.
of course, gladly done so. And well, there's everyone should know that this is recorded. I failed to mention that last time. Gladly, it is so that Zoom itself mentions that it's being recorded, but
Yeah,
it's
yeah.
also self-explanatory. Yeah, so we have the same setup as the first time, actually, which means question categories. Firstly, we have the new questions, so to speak, and general concerns about how things are going. And then the second category would be general questions about our way of doing things. And the third category would be questions about where we're going and suggestions about that, which is the nice part, the future part.
Yeah, yeah.
And then there will be random questions or commentaries from the crowd. We have changed a little bit because now I'm going to use the AMA February 24th channel in the Discord so that we won't have to deal
Yeah.
with all the trolls in Zoom. So if you
Yeah.
if you actually want to say something, for example, like Sam 21 is saying something right now, he's saying hello there, then please say it there. And if you actually have a question and you wish to speak it out loud once I'm going to give turns, then please don't forget to mention your Zoom name, because otherwise I don't know whom I should unmute. So with that being said, I think we should start.
Yeah.
Well, my mother has just closed the window, so it's getting a little bit warmer here.
That's good. That's good. Problem.
Yeah, it is. All right, here we go. Firstly, we have a question from EAM Crypto, and he asks, "Hey, do you guys think that solutions like YieldWolf create a bit of sell pressure on the project? And can you also list the reasons as to why or why not?" I think we've gone over this a few times. Do you mind if I answer it?
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Of course.
Right. Well, it depends on which pool you're in, actually. All of the pools that are liquidity pools or the Grape single stake, they all put a bit of sell pressure on wine and a buying pressure on whatever the pool is. So if your pool is Grape Mim or Grape single stake, then it would put buying pressure on Grape or Grape and Mim. And if you, for example, have Grape wine, then half of the wine rewards will get sold and the other half will be put into the liquidity pool again. So it would put a little bit of buying pressure on Grape and a little bit of selling pressure on wine. But especially on YieldWolf, there's also a pool which is wine single stake. And that one sells Grape and buys wine. So that puts reverse order buying and selling pressure. So a bit of selling pressure on Grape and a bit of buying pressure on wine. If you balance those out a little bit, then there will not be any particular selling pressure or buying pressure on either. And if you're just here to compound, we would definitely recommend balancing them out. Anything to add to that?
Yeah. I think that's pretty much it. I mean, it's it's a bit of a good and bad with the auto compounders. It's obviously good because it increases liquidity of the pools, but it's bad because it does sell half the rewards. So that adds selling pressure. So if you can balance it out, as you just said, then it does reduce that selling pressure and help increase the liquidity of the pools at the same time, which is really good.
Exactly. All right. Then there's Munji, and they ask, are there less than 1,000 people staking one wine or more in the winery? this is the criterion for the NFT airdrop, and what happens if there are more than 1K?
Yeah, well, I've already done I guess a rough snapshot just to see how many people are in there. So I wrote a little bit of a script just to go through the contract and all the addresses and whatnot. And there is less than 1,000. So likely what's going to happen is some of the LPs that aren't in the winery, just the grape mim, the wine mim LPs and the grape wine LPs will also be eligible for a random drop, and we'll probably do that with Chainlink's VRF thing to make it actually random, verifiably random, as it's supposed to be. So yeah, I guess that kind of answers it.
I think it does, and it also, you already said it is kind of a rough snapshot. That's not the actual snapshot. Yeah. Right? It's more
Yes.
sketch.
Yeah. Just to get an idea of how many are in there, and as well, I can kind of see if the people that have been in there that are already on this previous snapshot, whether they're then now trying to game the system by withdrawing to then stake wine in another address, but then that's linked, so I'm watching if you're going to game it.
All right, that's good. And then there's well, that's actually right now, so I'll rate that out. Silent Charlatan asks, is there a Satan Charlatan asks, if it's less than 1K, how many one wine holders are there so far, roughly?
At the moment, well, in the winery itself, there is about 400 with one wine.
We're still small.
Yeah, still small. And Yield Wolf has about 100 or so, not many, 150. I'm in touch with the Yield Wolf dev team because the way they do the Yield Wolf auto compounding of the winery is a little bit different than the normal farms. So they actually use 6 different contracts for the boardroom auto compounders. So I need to work with them to get an accurate figure of addresses in the Yield Wolf specifically on the winery one, whereas the other ones are quite easy to do. We did it for the airdrop. It's quite easy, but that's okay. That's something we're working on. So, but yeah, about 150 in Yield Wolf as well. So what's that, like 550 roughly?
Awesome. So everyone who has it is still eligible. That's good. Fizzle asks, does the staked percentage in the winery just reflect the number of wine in the winery, or does it reflect the wine in LPs as well?
Yeah, in the winery, everything on the winery page is specific to the winery itself, you could say. Actually, let me just double check that. But the percentage staked, that is a figure of staked in the winery. Percentage of wine, total supply, circulating supply, staked in the winery. So that's 65% at the moment. And you can go to the home page, and then there's under the wine price, there's the TVL in LPs and winery figure, which is the total figure in dollar value of wine that's locked in the winery and in LPs. So that is just over $1 million out of 1.2. So if we're going to do that quickly, that's 82.7% of all wine is either in LPs or in the winery. And keep in mind as well, the Dev and DAO fund has wine in its own wallets, not staked or anything. So I guess that's part of the wine that's not in the LPs and whatnot. It does have some wine locked in the LPs, but obviously not much, because it would dilute the rewards for everyone else.
Yep.
And we need it for promotions and whatnot as well. So it needs to be kind of more liquid.
Most definitely. Yeah. All right. Then there's a question from Nate01, and it actually has already been answered, and it also gets answered. So I'll read question and answer, and then you may or may not want to add to that. The question is, what if MIM loses PAG or has other longer term issues? And then Taz from the Senior Circus answers, it could be asked again, but the previous answer was something like, why would it lose its PAG right now? MIM is massively used, becoming stronger and stronger. We can also change what we're packed to if necessary. It's a decent amount of work, but doable if absolutely needed. I think we stand by that, don't we?
Yeah. I mean, we went over this with the MIM FUD a couple weeks ago.
Yeah.
We went over the plan if we need to. It can be changed. It would just need to. The issue is that we'd need to make a new pool, and people would need to. A new pair, and people would need to transfer from the MIM pair to the USDC pair or whatever. So,
yeah. So that would be a hassle. So we're only going to do that if absolutely necessary.
Yeah.
Then we get to the next category, which is general questions about our way of doing things. And we start again with Fizzle, who asks, would turning the burnable grape into protocol-owned liquidity potentially help stabilize price and PAG more than burning? Is there maybe a balance here of self-sustainability? And thinking out loud, you'd have to figure out where the MIM or the LPs came from, though. And I've added a note to this question because it actually goes beyond the current raffle burning vote. It also is the normal weekly burning that it's about.
Yeah. So we put that to a vote now as well. And it appears like that option is going to win the vote, which I think is actually pretty good. Right? Yeah. The pair with MIM to enter the Grape MIM, it's 75% of the vote now, so it's probably going to win, very likely. And I think that's probably a good option rather than just burning it. We can do. The DAO can just add the MIM in weekly, which is fine. So we don't have to sell anything to add that in, and it's sort of like a way of getting protocol-owned liquidity through the use of a raffle, which is kind of an interesting way to do it.
Yeah, but that's a raffle only. And I'm sorry, someone. That's my mom passing by. That's a raffle only, but it's also about there's a weekly burning of grape. Have I missed that there is a vote on that as well?
Maybe, yeah. There was I think yesterday we didn't.
Because the vote that I see is, what should we do with grape entered into the raffle?
Yeah. That's is that what we're talking about? That's right. I missed.
Yeah, but there's also a second thing. We have a weekly burning of grape.
Yes, from the DAO. Yes. No, I see. Yes, yeah.
And I think the question might also pertain to that.
We can add that in as well. The issue with that is that it would kind of, because the grape supply continues to inflate more and more as the supply increases. It's based on a percentage of the circulating supply. And if we're trying to keep it above peg, just doing that, it's going to cost the DAO a lot of money to keep it going very, over the long term even.
You mean the burning is going to cost a lot of money? Or did you mean something else?
No, if we're going to pair that burn, instead of burning that DAO portion, if we add, don't sell it, and we pair it with MIM from the DAO already into the LP, eventually it's going to cost a lot of money for the DAO to maintain that sort of level of expenditure every week just for the burn portion. So the burn portion is kind of a way we can limit how much new grape is emitted every day.
Yeah.
So that we can kind of slow down the expansion rate and keep it to a level where it doesn't expand the market cap of grape by, say, $500,000 a week. It instead expands it by, you know, a portion less, say 5-10% less, so that it gives us more time to build some other actual use case to grape and wine, which then will allow that market cap of grape to expand at the same price without having, you know, having an actual use case for it. Because right now we're using the burn mechanism to buy some time, really, until we build out these things. And I guess that's the same with the raffle. It's good because then we can just pair that portion with MIM quite easily, and we can do that a couple times a week even. We could, you know, in theory, we could pair the burn portion as well, at least one of the burn portions a week, because I have actually been burning a little bit more regularly now because the supply is increasing a lot more, because we have, what do we have now? We've got like 288,000 circulating supply of grapes. So it's 2.5% each epoch. And then there's 4 epochs a day. So on 288, it's actually 2% actually, because it's after 250,000, it went down to 2%. So 2% on 288,000 circulating supply, 4 times a day, it obviously increases more and more every day.
Mm-hmm.
So we need to, so that's why we use the burn mechanism to give some time, but also it may actually be good to turn 1 or 2 of the burn portions into, pair them with MIM to sort of gain some protocol liquidity extra on top of the raffle portion, which it looks like it's going to win the vote.
Yeah. So just to comprise all of this, we're using the burn mechanism mostly to gain some time, because right now we are in an unsustainable way of doing things, but we have a future ahead of us which is very much sustainable, but we need to survive until that time. And that's why the regular burning is going on, but it might be good to have the raffle changed into a Grape MIM liquidity pool, and that's what the vote is on, and that's actually winning right now. So that's probably going to happen.
Yes.
Right.
And I think that's good for the community as well, because there's sort of you have the chance to win wine, but also you're helping the protocol gain its own liquidity as well, which then helps the stability of the peg with that. Yeah.
Well, awesome. Very good. Then we move on to another question from Fizzle. They've been very, very active. What are the backgrounds of the Grape team, and do they have experience in traditional finance? And what does the team feel it needs in order to improve/grow? Well, these are two very big questions, if I may say so. I particularly am disinclined to talk for other people. I would rather talk for myself. But maybe you can give an overview of what the backgrounds of the team is about, and what do you think?
Well, I guess it'd probably be best if the rest of the team sort of explain their background. But I guess for me, obviously, I have a technology background, a bit of development for the last 10 years, a bit of business in that as well. I've run my own businesses in several different areas, with development and other non-development things such as, e-commerce and, sort of marketing things as well. So it's, I guess I'm kind of more, you could say I'm kind of more of a business background, which kind of suits my role a little bit better. Um, Even though I do a lot of development, mainly because it's something I've always done and always been interested in. Um, and I guess as and numbers as well is always something I've been interested in. I've done all the accounting for my businesses in the past, so that kind of helps with this as well, to kind of see forecasting wise where we can go and where we can gain extra efficiency out of the protocol and whatnot and things like that. Um, in regards to the rest of the team, I think Eric has a decent background in some trading, especially he's been in the crypto space for a while. So he has some decent trading experience. He has some decent marketing experience in various areas, different sort of marketing, different products and different services. And with Nick on partnerships, he's run a few businesses himself earlier on, sort of in the mid 2000s. He did a lot of in the gaming industry back in the early days, dealing with partnerships for esports. He mentioned that something that he was doing. So that's kind of why he's doing partnerships now, because he's has that sort of business partnerships mindset. At the moment, he's also doing, or for the last few years, he's been doing more networking, as in network security and whatnot. So that's also good to have an idea of that sort of thing in this industry, I think.
We've got Dave and Bender's left.
And yeah, and Dave, I need to, I guess Dave should sort of explain his background a bit more, but he's got really good design skills, to say the least. He's good on the graphics side, and that's something that we really need and really is helpful to have someone that's ready to pull a graphic together really nice. He did all the strategies flowcharts for us, which is really great, really helpful for the community as well, something that we haven't really seen in our other protocols, but something that's kind of really useful to get everybody on the same page.
Yeah, and Dave is also editing my videos, my educational videos.
He's really good, really creative, which is always good to have someone creative on the team, especially in this industry, is really, really needed.
And he's also good on strategy, like community strategy. What does the community need to do to actually get somewhere? Dave and me, we have a lot of talks about that, and before we come out with something.
Yeah, you've been working with Dave reasonably closely on the education side and the strategy side. So yeah, it's I think we have got a well-rounded team. Bandus is more he's done a lot of community management before on sort of he's been in the crypto area for a while, and he's been in a lot of different communities. So he's more of the I guess you could say the FUD resolver in the chat, the community hype man, you could say, in the chat.
Oh, but he's so much more. I've had a talk with him. He's also very, very, very good at crypto security and stuff.
Yes, he's working on the
technical security.
He's doing a lot of
coding security,
network security at the moment as well. Is something of his specialty. So that can also help with, security is extremely important in this industry, specifically, because you hold the private keys to, quite a large amount of wealth. And the issue is that if those keys are stolen, they're lost, they're handled terribly, mismanaged, then it's an extreme risk. And the other point is that hackers and scammers know this, and that's why they target this industry specifically. Because once coins are gone, once coins are lost or hacked or whatever, they're pretty much gone. You can't get them back. It's not like in a bank where you can call the government to save you from some fraud or from a hacker or something like that. So security is extremely important in this space.
Yeah, that's most definitely his specialty. That he's very good at. That's also why he said he couldn't be doxxed because his employer doesn't want him to. I think that's very fair.
It is a security risk for people in that industry specifically.
Yeah. Well, that leaves me. I am when it comes to the rest of the team, I'm kind of a novice, I think, in crypto itself. I have a very very well versed when it comes to community management, as it were. I have got backgrounds in keeping clinics safe, and a safe environment for everyone, because I've been in psychiatry and recovery, also in youth recovery. But I've also done that in a larger space, for example, in like club security and stuff like that. I've also been a police officer in my time, and further on, I've been a military sergeant, which means that gives a certain kind of way of teamwork and good communication, I guess, and also a lot of educational background, I would say, as in how to explain things to people on a level that everyone would, as much as possible, understand. And I'm meaning to really try to get everything to really get everything to a level where new people could really grasp what's going on. I'm a quick learner myself, and I'm trying to then explain what I've learned, and also just to get something in a presentable format, and which is also why I'm doing the AMA, because I'm very comfortable being in front of a group and comfortable speaking that way. So that's kind of my side to it.
Yeah, handle the community management as a minimum, and doing a fantastic job there, and as well as the education that's coming out. You guys are going to love it. It's going to be great. We've already done the first video, and we got good feedback from that. So
yeah, the second video is actually, I would say, a lot better, because in the first video was still a little bit awkward. Second video is going a bit
the content
better,
was good.
Yeah, the content was good. Yeah, but we're trying to learn from whatever happened before, and then always improve ourselves. Also, I'm doing a little bit of the strategy together with Dave, because I do have a lot of strategic insight just in general, but also in finance, and how to have a group work together to achieve a certain goal. And we're using that as much as possible.
Yeah.
Let's move on to the next question. I hope that was answered well enough, and otherwise, if it was not, and if you have questions for particular team members specifically, then keep an eye on when they are on, because we mean to have all of the team members featured in a certain AMA. For example, next AMA will probably be Dave. And if you have a lot of questions for Dave, then you can ask them at next AMA, because he'll be on. So keep that in mind, and keep that, and just save it up for them. We go to the future. I mean, we're going to be questions about the future, which starts with A and B. Can you give more detail in how exactly the lending and borrowing will work? What will be the greatest benefit to the protocol? Where will the profits go? And a timetable on when it will be released.
Yeah, okay. Well, I mean, there's a few ways we can do the lending and borrowing, but what we're planning on doing right now, it's going to be done in Q2. That's on the roadmap. Exactly when in Q2, we're aiming for sort of mid Q2. So what's that? That's about May, a few months away, because we'll likely finish Q1 in the next couple of weeks. So then we can move straight on to Q2 and get a bit of a head start, which is nice, because the lending and borrowing will be something that we kind of want to bring forward reasonably quick. And so I'm looking at some avenues that we can maybe implement some sort of prototype first quite quickly, just to sort of, see how people use it and see how we can use it and see how it can best be utilized to help the platform. But in the longer term, as in Q2, we'll be building out a proper lending and borrowing system where, you can basically, put in grape, wine, and a bunch of other coins, the standard coins that you'd be able to, sort of wrapped Bitcoin, AVAX, etc. And as well, we can add partner coins in there, which is a good feature to have. And then you'll be able to borrow a certain amount of other coins based on the value of the coin that you've given for collateral. And that amount that you'll be able to borrow will be dependent on sort of the volatility and the stability of that coin. So, say for grape and wine, we're still pretty new and still pretty volatile. So the amount you'd be able to borrow will be not as much as, say, you'd be able to borrow against a wrapped Bitcoin or even an AVAX, just to protect you from liquidations, obviously, but also looking into ways we can prevent liquidations entirely. I know there are ways that can be done to even just minimize the possibility of it, is something that we're going to be focusing on.
It's actually a good question about that later on. We'll come to that.
Oh, okay. Yeah, because that's obviously the risk with lending and borrowing, is that you can be liquidated, and the issue is that, well, then if you're liquidated, well, then those coins need to be sold, and it's possible then that it is a cascading liquidation effect where it sells and then triggers more liquidations and whatnot. We see this all the time on the market during a downfall. You see a large drop and then an even larger drop because the first liquidation cascaded into a second group, and then so on and so on. So that's obviously we'd want to protect lenders and borrowers in the system, so that people feel safe using it and don't lose money, in other words.
Yeah.
So in other words, we want to have a safe borrowing limit. And something as well we'll be doing, which I think is another question, is introducing a repaying of the loans system automatically, using the coins that you put up as collateral, can then be used in yield generation, either in our platform or another platform that has that sort of coin generating a yield, can then be used to pay back your loan. And would be something like Alchemix. I've used them before, something that I actually really liked their system. The only issue is that it's on Ethereum and it costs so much to use. So something I haven't done.
I've got a note here on Alchemix, because I guess we'll bring that forward to this question. Ashen to Ashes asked, will the auto repaying loans work similar to the Alchemix protocol on Ethereum? And well, I wasn't familiar with the Alchemix protocol, so I researched it a little bit, and I comprised that into this. Alchemix utilizes the interest-bearing rate of currently only DAI on Anchor and allows for a loan up to 50% of DAI collateral. In time, the interest on the DAI will automatically repay the loan, and loans can be removed earlier by either repaying or voluntarily liquidating collateral, but loaners never get liquidated because at some point the 10 to 20% rate yearly will pay off that 50% loan. So that is what the Alchemix protocol is. Just to
it's a really cool system, and that's sort of one of the ways we can sort of at least minimize as a minimum liquidations. In other words, obviously not all coins can be used in yield generation, but most can, and so that's why we'll do something similar, or at least implement that. That is on the roadmap as well. Some sort of auto repaying loan that uses yield generation to pay back the loan to sort of safeguard your loan from liquidation. So yeah, that's
absolutely awesome to have something like that away from the Ethereum network.
yeah,
like actually usable.
that's kind of the problem, right? On Ethereum, you need to kind of be a whale to use it, because then, if you have $1 million, $100 fee to do a transaction isn't really a big deal for you. But if you have, say even $10,000, you want to do a loan, it adds up. You do 5-10 transactions. That's, $500, $2,000 on your $10,000. That's quite a lot,
Yeah, exactly. Well, that's really awesome. I'm really looking forward to this. Just in all ways, as being part of the team, but also for me personally, it's really going to be awesome. I love it. Let's move on to the next question, which is from Saint, and they ask: you mentioned land in the metaverse as part of the future, roadmap. Possible vineyard, and they say it sounds so freaking cool, but they ask, may I ask if you're leaning towards mana or sand or something else?
Yeah, so we're still doing research on the exact platform we're going to use. We're also looking into maybe NFT worlds, which is like they have it's a NFT basically, that's a Minecraft world where you can build whatever you want basically, because it's Minecraft. So there's a few things that we can do, a few places we can use. The issue is we may have to there's not really much support on Avalanche at the moment, or for Avalanche at the moment, but so we're still figuring that out. But the issue, the good thing is that it's not really that difficult to just sort of the metaverse part is universal really, and you can just port that to kind of wherever you want, just making a few changes here and there. So where we do it exactly is still to be decided, depending on what would be best for what we want to do and how we can do it basically.
Yeah, awesome. Then we move on towards Honky 86, and that's a question you've actually answered. They said, any idea when the website will be revamped? Because I know a few investors that are put off purely from the small amount of effort that seemed to be put into the website. And then you answered small amount of effort, and then said the website revamp is set for Q2 as per the roadmap, in line with adding lending and borrowing, which will require a new UI anyway, and we're focusing on building functionality out rather than a UI update at the moment. Do you still stand by that, or do you want to add anything to that?
Yeah, that's pretty much the idea really. I did think about doing a UI update sooner. It's even a few weeks ago I was planning on moving that forward, but I thought we're going to be adding so many other features that I'm going to have to update the UI again just to accommodate those features.
Yeah.
And I'd rather spend the time to build a team and build those features out rather than focus on a UI update, which, the thing is we have to prioritize what we're going to do with our time and our resources. So I think, we're definitely going to do a UI update anyway. because we want to make the site look nice. We want to add a nice little dashboard as well for people to see all their stakes in one page. Some nice charts as well. So I like seeing data. So I want a page of data where everybody can see, data of the protocol and data of your own sort of portfolio, and some nice handy, features that make using the system easier for everybody. And then as well, we had the lending and borrowing. So that's going to be like, we're going to need a UI for that specifically, which the Tomb side doesn't have that at all. So we need to build that out. So we may as well obviously build that functionality out first. And then when we release that, we release a UI for that as well.
Yeah, so what you're saying is we are expanding on functionality, and that will probably be a little bit awkward at first when it's put on the site, just where it might be the best place. And then later on, once we have all of that online, we will go and streamline it a little bit more, and it will be a more beautiful whole with charts and everything, and all the data that anyone would like to see. Yeah, well, that sounds very logical. I get it. Which means we can move on to the next question, which is from Yehit LP. They say, sorry if already asked, but will we move towards 2-ohm strategy? Well, that wasn't actually already asked. And so I asked, please elaborate, because there's many strategies also on 2-ohm. And then they meant the 3 DAO and also having a secondary protocol, aka 3-ohm, to make 2-ohm/wine deflationary. That is what they meant.
I did look into the 3-ohm code and that sort of idea of having a bonding mechanism for protocol liquidity. And something we're definitely going to be doing is adding some sort of bonding mechanism to gain the protocol own liquidity. I don't think we're going to be doing it in a 3-ohm style, because it's maybe a little bit messy. In order to do it, I would have done it if we were able to do it with the current system we have now, and we were able to make a rebate treasury, so to say, which is what that is, added onto the current treasury. But the issue is that we can do that, but there wouldn't be enough minting power for the treasury as it is now to be able to mint enough Grape to then incentivize the bonds, the purchasing of the bonds, as in the protocol bonds, not the G bonds. So in other words, the only way we'd be able to do the 3-ohm system is if we actually made a 2 Grape, so to say. And then we need another 2 coins plus another G bond 2 coin, which I think just kind of makes it a little bit messy. Then we're going to have 4 coins for the system, which is just, I think it's a little bit much.
Yeah, that would also just confuse people as to where the actual value lies. Like, what do I need to hold? What is the actual valuable coin then, if there are so many? Do I need to buy this and this and this, and do I need to buy it all? And at some point, you're just out of money to invest, I would say. Or is
I mean, it's a good, like, I think they're the 3-ohm, the 2-ohm and 3-ohm system is a pretty cool innovation, and but it was a prototype essentially, because they are going to be implementing a new bonding system in the next few weeks anyway. So it's probably good that we didn't just like jump into it and copy them anyway, because they will be implementing an improvement on the whole system, which is good to see. We want to see the innovation in the space and learn from other protocols and see how we can do it in our way to help our protocol and help bring innovation as well to the whole system, to the whole space in general.
Yeah, most definitely. That brings us to questions or commentaries from the crowd, and I think I'm going to give the turn to Sam21 first. I'm going to ask to unmute you, and also asked to start your video if you wish. You don't have to. But Sam, if you unmute yourself, you're on.
Hi guys.
Hey,
I hope
how
you
you
are
going?
all doing fine. And I just want to say thank you for all the work. And
Hey, no
I won't
worries.
waste your time. My question is, will actually I have three questions, but I don't know. I don't know if you guys have time or not.
Yeah,
Well,
yeah, no, that's fine.
we have about 15
Okay.
minutes left, so I suppose ask your
Okay.
first question.
Okay.
Yeah,
I'll
yeah.
try my best. Okay. My first question is, will NFT holders receive any benefits from lending in foreign future?
Yeah, this is something I want to do as well. Something that would be pretty cool. Something like maybe even using your NFT as collateral. Because there will be with the NFTs, there will be a bi-weekly, a fortnightly raffle where each NFT is basically a ticket, and your tier is, the higher the tier, the more tickets you have for the fortnightly wine rewards that are specifically for the NFTs. So, in other words, there is some sort of income generation there, and they would have some sort of value behind it on the market, which then could then be used as collateral for some sort of loan against it. Obviously, we'd need to work out the details on that, and it would be more risky because an NFT isn't really liquid, so to say, like a coin is. But in general, the NFTs are going to be have benefits for every sort of thing that we release. More specifically to the game, because that's kind of what it's suited to. But it's also like a whitelist for the launchpad, and it's like a VIP card in general. So VIPs will always get, special bonuses for everything that we release in the future.
All right, Sam, I ask you to unmute again. Does that answer your question?
Yes, absolutely. I want to say that I love the art. I don't know why a few people were unhappy with it, but I guess majority of us are happy with the art, and it really represents the project. I won't
Oh,
waste
thanks.
time. Yes, another question is, uh, I read on the Twitter that Tomb and 3 Ohm are have done some acquisition. They have acquired Devil Finance, I think,
Oh, yeah,
if I'm
yeah,
not
yeah.
mistaken. Are there any plans for similar plans for Grape Finance in the future?
To acquire different
Yeah,
protocols.
yeah, yeah,
I
yeah.
guess so. If we see any opportunities where it may be beneficial for us and for them to do so. I mean, 2M, 3M, I guess have probably quite a decent bankroll that they can use to do that quite easily. We're still new platform, still kind of young, so we may not have the required bankroll for that yet. But obviously, we focus on partnerships. We work on working with different protocols that are up and coming and established as well. And so that sort of thing is always on the cards, no matter what. If we see a good opportunity to do that, then we will.
I'm sorry, I had to go for a second there.
No worries.
We move on towards Satan Soliton, and they have kind of a intriguing question. I'm going to ask to unmute you, Satan Soliton. Here you go. All right. They seem to be unresponsive so far. I'm going to read out the question, and if they want to drop in, they can. Have you guys seen how NFT nodes work on Midas DAO? Wouldn't it be better to consider a similar scenario? Let's say you have to mint grape wine in order to receive NFT. which you have to stake, and it provides you with a higher juicy APY than in LP. It might help to reduce supply and increase the price of grape wine. Your thoughts?
Yes, I'm always looking for things like this. It's a pretty cool idea. We'd have to work out like specific details, because if we're going to have some sort of boost APR or something like that, we need to either reallocate from the existing pools, or we need another coin, some sort of new coin that does that. Or if, as you were saying, people can, give in grape wine or, the LPs as sort of a bond into it, and then those coins are then released to the rest of the NFT holders, that could work. But then it would still be, releasing those same coins out anyway, which then people could sell. So there's things that we can do kind of like this, but we need to do specific, because I can't mint, any more grape. Obviously, only the treasury can mint it in set schedule, and all the wine that exists in the contract, the rewards contract. There is a vested portion of wine that goes to the DAO and whatnot that can be used for things like this, but it isn't that much to incentivize, a high APR, especially considering we're doing, things like the pool with Hermes, the dual reward pool. Those rewards are coming from the DAO vested wine rewards. They're not coming from the actual wine contract rewards, so they're not diluting the rest of the pools. But it does mean that the set amount of wine that goes to the DAO, a set amount of that goes to this pool now. So, we obviously need to budget that wine for the rest of the promotions we do, other pools like this, or some sort of, APR boost. We are going to be doing the new NFT sort of raffle with the wine. You could say like a lottery. So there'll be a budget for that on the wine as well. So I think it makes it easier, really, if we make another sort of coin that is like the node coin, if you want to say, for this particular example, where that's like the payout coin. And then you could do something like you bond in grape wine or the LPs, and you receive a set amount of that new coin every day, whatnot. But then we have to figure out, what do you do with that new coin other than it just being a reward? You know what I mean? So we need to sort of figure out little details like that, because we don't just want to make another coin that is just like another reward coin that doesn't really do anything except be a reward coin. Because then then it just is a coin to sell. So things like this are pretty cool to think about, but we need to figure out little details to make them sort of more sustainable.
Yeah, because we've seen in I would say DeFi 1.0 that if you make a coin just to give rewards, that they will just drop down, and at some point it's going to
eventually,
yeah. So those are things that we are interested in, but we have to make it in such a way that it would actually be useful in the longer run. That's what we're about, right?
Yeah.
Definitely. All right. Then I would say that we've answered all of the questions that are here so far. And
oh, great.
I would, yeah, that's actually great, right? I would definitely like to thank you again for your time. And I would like to thank all of the grapes that were here in the AMA, and of course, all of those that are listening to the recording. I would like to say that next week, the AMA is going to be on a different time and also on a different day. We're going to do a USA friendly AMA, which is also going to be in the weekend. the announcement has already been made, but of course there's going to be a new one which actually will hold a link to the Zoom invite as well. But that should also bring all of our USA people and people in the Americas in general to the AMA, because they'll be more able to. And we intend to do that about at least once monthly.
Yeah.
So with that said, I think we're going to end this now. And thank you all for being here. And great point. We're there.
Thanks. We'll see you next week. Thanks for joining. Thanks for listening.